Good afternoon, everybody. This is the greatest host from OITVOIP. Doesn't rhyme with Bay. That's the other guy. Anyway, Sean Lardo, Vice President of Partner Development here. Thank you all for attending, checking us out. We have a great next hour, well, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever it takes, to cover a few things here. But thank you all for being part of this, being part of the OIT family. Looking forward to the next 45, 50 minutes because I think it's going to have a lot of good information for MSPs to really dive into some things, some key topics that I see that are asked quite often actually from everybody. So what I want to do is I do want to bring up who our guest is going to be here. Look, and Miles Walker is already on saying, he's like, of course you are, Miles, because I'm on. Let's be clear. Up in Canada, right? So he's probably already having a drink. Anyway, I do want to bring on our guest, and Miles on, so obviously you probably know it's probably like a Kaseya type thing involved. But I am going to bring on, and this is kind of exciting for me because I'm bringing on an award-winning speaker. Also want to see our ends like top 100 people to know during 2020, which was COVID. So I don't know if that really counts as much. No, I think it does. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome to be able to get that kind of ranking on a year when nobody got to see anybody and just we're virtually just speaking to everybody. But this is a very impactful person from ID Agent that I see regularly answering questions on social media, being involved in webinars, being actively engaged in the community for the channel. But without any further ado, I will bring on Amelia Paro. How are you?
Hi, hello. Well, thank you for that introduction. Wow, now I feel like I have to live up to it.
The answer is yes, you do. You absolutely have to. I don't know if you had a chance to see, and I'm going to toot somebody's horn. Miles, when he was on the Tech Bar, he lived up to everything he could do. He was like Cliff Clavin from Cheers that had a story for everything. It's weird. It's very weird that you can know somebody that I could say, so I was at this McDonald's in Plymouth, nowhere. And he's like, yeah, I was there. When I was there, I saw this person do. And I'm like, yeah.
Random stuff, right? You'd be like, yeah, I was at that McDonald's and I ran into Shania Twain and she, and so we had this great bonding moment. She bought me a burger or whatever they eat in Canada. Just kidding, Miles, love you. I mean, but it doesn't matter what it is. We could play pick topics out of a hat and Miles would have a story for it. And it would be real too. That's what makes Miles so great. So he's lots of fun.
Yeah, it is real because then he'll be like, and here's the picture to support it. Here's my document evidence. This is when we were whittling wood on my front porch because Shania Twain came back with me because she said she loved time with me so much. And I'm going to go to my cool home office that overlooks the city like I'm on Wall Street. And she just hung out with me. We would have made moonshine. And I'm like, yeah. So, yeah. But thank you for being part of this. Really appreciate it. And actually, the whole reason why we started working together was due to you. So
that's right. I'm like the ultimate matchmaker. I should be getting some sort of like kickdowns for this.
Well, I mean, you stalked me and found me and sent me messages. And finally, I was like, listen, you're right. But you brought this relationship together. And since then, we've been involved. We were on your stuff with Ray a few weeks back. And then we were part of MVP Growth Fest with you all. And now here you are. And also, you're going to be on Tech Bar too, right?
Yeah, I am at some point. My schedule is going to be mean this year. Things are starting to open back up, which is really good. People are getting vaccinated. And, so I'm lots of people on the channel. We're really hoping that things are going to get started, being close to whatever is going to be what it's going to be right now. I don't know. I mean, I'm not even going to say the catchphrase, the buzzword that everybody throws around because it makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit. So I'm not going to say it.
Probably one of our, if you say those words, we have to drink, just so we're clear. Nothing stops.
I've seen enough tech bars to know that.
But yeah, we sat down and we talked about our schedule for the year, conference wise, where we're going. And it was funny because we put together this list originally and there was like 75 events on there. And then we started saying, and as we were talking to the companies that were hosting these events, then it turned into, well, we might be going hybrid or it might be virtual. It depends on where we are. And then, so that long list started to really drop as far as where we're going to have to go, but we're attending quite a few. And I know you are like a road warrior at this point. How many events do you average a year?
Well, so pre-COVID, it was like 38, 40. And then probably this year is going to be about the same, if not more.
Wow. On it, but we're already in Q2. So you
Yeah,
basically
there's going to be a lot.
Yeah, your hotel points are going to be phenomenal. Travel miles, oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, they'll be up there. So, no,
Absolutely.
but I do want to say that we were really thrilled to have you guys join us to be a part of MVP Growth Fest, and having Ray, be on one of our panels. He's really, a phenomenal speaker, and is really, so plugged into the MSP community. I mean, you guys are great. So it was really awesome that you got to be a part of that. So thank you for being one of our community partner sponsors.
Thank you. And thank you for making Ray's head even bigger now. He's going to have a challenge. Like, he might not be able to get out of his office today because he's so excited now. Like, that's right. I'm like, look, he already put a freaking heart up. See, like,
oh, that's right. I do accept bribes and gifts. So,
oh my God. And he's totally about that too. He's all about bribes and gifts, man. I feel like he did this before you even got on, but anyway, that's fine. So we're here to actually talk about something important. It's, I guess, near and dear to you because you speak about this often. And before I look, I mean, here it goes. Bribes on the whatever. All right. Simon, can we block Ray now because he's going to ruin everything? So we're again, I love these conversations because we often see and we hear regularly on all the channels MSPs struggle with growing their business, revenue, positioning themselves, adding on other technologies, completing their stack, and then be able to speak English to their customers about it, like actually translate it. So I love this, and I'm not going to say much more because this is about you, and I want it to be all about you.
It's not about me. It's about the MSPs in the community.
Oh my God, that was so sweet. Yes.
I know.
Yes.
I know. No, so little, and you're exactly right. So a little backstory. So I came from an MSP, and when I first joined an MSP, I was employee number 3, right? So it was the CEO who was doing the books and the sales prior to me. There was another tech guy, and then there was me. And so I was brought on to do all things sales and marketing, right? And ended up being feeling like the den mother most times. But so my story is very similar. It's echoed in a lot of the partners that I work with and the MSPs that I talk to around the country, right? Small, growing, where they're right at that $1 million mark. They're trying to get to the next level, and regardless of what the challenges, the current socio-economical challenges are going on at that point in time, there was stuff going on in 2019. There was stuff going on in 2018. There was stuff going on in 2015 when I started, and we all share that same look. We're trying to get to the next level, and we only have so many hats, and historically, generally, the biggest thing that MSPs struggle with is sales and marketing. And one of the things I love about working in the channel, and especially with MSPs, is MSPs guys are wicked smart IT guys. You're brilliant. You know stuff. My brain doesn't even work that way, right? I'm not technical. I am going on record to say I am not technical. Said it before, I will say it again. But I mean, the technical minds of MSPs, the problem is, and I know this from personal experience, is, my CEO would talk himself out of a sale, and I'm like kicking him under the table going, stop talking. Let me handle this.
You know what? That's weird. It sounds like Ray and I sometimes too.
But, and as MSPs take on more and they're required to wear more hats, especially now with the changing landscape and compliance mandates and the ever evolving tech landscape, not just cybersecurity, but technology as a whole, and adding, throwing in the components of the pandemic now and this, overnight push to a remote workforce and all of these other things, right? So many hats that have to be worn. Nobody has time to create content and get out there and do all these, come up with the prospecting strategies and selling strategies and marketing strategies. So partners that can support and provide MSPs with that, so it gets them as close to that, deal as possible is really what's going to push things forward. And that was when I was an MSP, that was the first thing, second thing that I looked for in a partner. When we were going to engage with a vendor, it was like, okay, so, what kind of support do you provide us, right? Are you going to help us sell this and how?
Right. And that's actually, I love all that because I think it's the biggest, I agree. So a couple of things, I agree with you totally on the sales and marketing becomes a struggle. A lot of these MSPs I find they're wired in such a way that they are so good when it comes to technologies. They're absolutely phenomenal. Brilliant. And they keep growing their business because they're so good. People say, you need to talk to this guy or this woman. They took care of me. They're phenomenal. Yeah. And that's exactly what they want to be. I think the disconnect, and I've been on some other webinars with like Ninja RMM, for instance, and we talk about it there where it's really back to, how do I provide a solution and speak to you in your language? And I agree completely. So I am curious if you wouldn't mind, tell me a little about ID Agent and what their story behind them.
Yeah. So ID Agent originally was born in the government space. So the cybersecurity tools that, over close to 4,000 MSP partners around the globe are using today is the same tool that is a monitoring for compromises for an entire branch of the U.S. government. It's a legacy customer, right? But they're still using that tool. They're still using the solution that we first provided them way back in the day when we started in the government space. So came out into the channel because we recognized early on that this is a powerful tool that is also easy to use. And by the way, the data in it helps you sell it. How many vendors can say that? Hey, we got a solution for you, and what's in it also helps you sell it. So cybersecurity is what? Yes, it's the hot topic right now, but it's going to remain the hot topic because all of our lives are all virtual now. Everything is virtual. Right. Data is now the currency for everything, right? So. It's securing data, securing identities, securing all of that. And so it's not going to go away, right? Any of this. So taking something that is complex and usually, back in the day, looking to bring on cybersecurity tools and solutions to offer customers, it would be a huge overhead, very complex, lots involved, usually very costly. And so we've got a solution set. We've got, tools that makes it easy for MSPs to step into that role of being a security-centric managed services provider and roll it out to their customers and be a dark web expert without actually having to be a dark web expert. And with, coaching, training, guiding, and all that, we support our partners through that process and being a cybersecurity expert. So, I come with a presentation. I just have a few slides because God knows nobody wants to do death by PowerPoint. But I like visual aids because
it's good to keep structure. Yeah. No, I think a presentation is good for structure. It's not the end all be all, but at least it makes sure you cover everything there is from all talk points. If you do the right discovery, the right assessment, then you can come back and talk about it and cover the pain points.
That's right. See, okay. Sales and marketing 101. Take notes, people.
Right. I'll be here all day.
Right. Don't forget to tip your server.
Right. Yeah, please. I take tips. You take bribes. I take tips. So I know you have a presentation deck, and I don't want to take away from it because I know a lot of you are watching or wanting to see more about this. I want to make sure that everybody involved watching this, I want to make sure that we give you guys time to ask questions. So feel free to post questions in the chat. We will cover them as we go. as interactive as we can. One thing I noticed you're very engaging, so you like to be engaged. So we'll try to keep it as engaging as we can for everybody. If you want to go into your presentation, let's go. Or if not, we can just sit here and talk. I don't really care either way.
All right. So I will say, though, that I am in a hotel and I'm traveling, so I am down to one screen. So when I share my screen, it means I can't look at anybody else. So you guys,
don't worry. It's
usually not this clunky. I'm just gonna say so.
We got it. Don't worry. Just look at yourself in the presentation. We're good. You probably don't want to see some of the people that are involved. All right. All right.
You.
That's all you need.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys remember who I am, Amelia Paro. I'm Channel Development Manager with ID Agent. My contact information is on this. Email me. I love to engage with people on LinkedIn. Please send me connection requests if we're not already connected. I post a lot of thought leadership that is meant for you as MSPs to be able to repurpose and share, right? I don't mention any vendor names. It's all about education and sharing awareness about the threat landscape and what's going on in the threat landscape and how it affects businesses. So connect with me, please, repurpose my stuff, share it with your customers, take my blogs and share it and talk with your customers about it. I encourage that and I'm happy to share the information. So ID Agent, we've got a suite of cybersecurity tools built for MSPs, really by MSPs. And I say that because I came from an MSP. Over 50% of our internal staff at ID Agent came from the MSP space. So whether it was business development, sales and marketing, or on the technical side of the house. So we've even got former MSP CEOs. Some of you may or may not know Dan Tomaszewski, former MSP CEO, right? And several of our other internal staff came from the MSP space. So when we were designing our tools and our products and our services and our partner support model, we wanted to make sure that we were bringing people over to this side of the table that came from the MSP space. So, we've walked the walk, blood, sweat, and tears, been there, done that. And we can take our experience and make these tools and services and our partner programs better. Dark Web ID is our flagship product. It's our 24/7 monitoring and alerting tool. It monitors for compromises that are out on the dark web, right? So we're talking customers, prospects, people's emails, passwords, PII, like social security number, financial information, all of that stuff, and will it will let you know, use the MSP when that information is out there, right? So stuff that's currently in the hands of criminals out on the dark web right now. Bullfish ID is our phishing simulation security awareness training tool. It is part of the ID Agent Dark Web ID platform, and we wanted to be able to give you like the what's next, right? So you're monitoring for compromises. Well, what's next? Well, now you need to train employees, right? Mitigate that risk, the risk of the human element. So through testing and training, right? Security awareness training. And then Passly is it's a separate tool, but it is our 3-in-1 identity and access management like super tool, right? I think it was like a Switch Army blade, Switch Army knife with all the different little attachments on it. But it's multi-factor authentication, password manager, and single sign-on all in one tool. So, that's a veritable laundry list of like services that you can provide customers just in these 3 tools that we have.
Totally agree. Also, and I'm curious, how beneficial were these coming out, during COVID, and you even mentioned yourself, now that everybody's virtual, not everybody, but a good part of people are virtual now. Not everybody's in their protected bubble at their office. How effective have these products been for your partners, and how's it made them? to me, it makes them more almost a complete MSP if they do this the right way, it seems like.
Well, the pandemic changed a lot of things for a lot of people, and the push to the overnight, remote workforce created a lot of gaps and a lot of holes that sometimes were just out of necessity to keep those business processes moving forward, right? No judgment, it was necessary, right? It was an emergency. So, having these tools in place were really, instrumental for a lot of our partners in identifying for their customers compromises and then better securing, applications and assets and devices, right? If you're not talking to your customers about multi-factor authentication right now, well, you really need to. You're not only you're missing the boat, but I fear for you, right? The threat landscape has changed dynamically, and everybody's outside of their comfort zone. They're hopefully maybe not so much anymore, but at least initially when the pandemic hit and everybody got sent home, people were logging on to the networks on God knows how old of a device through all kinds of unsecure networks, and their kids were using that same laptop to log on to the homework help sites, which get hit a lot, and download all kinds of stuff, and it was just a mess. So the attack vector just exploded. And so did the attacks against businesses, right? We saw a huge uptick, not only in like phishing attacks against businesses, but also in the amount of data, stolen data that got dropped out onto the dark web in 2020, all of which, again, circles back to, the more information in the hands of criminals, the more they have available to them to use it to, harm businesses, craft spear phishing and social engineering and smishing and vishing and attach, malicious payloads to emails and text messages and QR codes. And I mean, it just on and on. We could spend the next probably 3 hours talking about all the different variations. But at the end of the day, it's all about, that you got to have foundational, fundamental things in place to detect threats, train users, and then have secure access.
So you guys provide the product, you provide the training, the onboarding, also the sales and marketing for all this.
Yeah. Yep. Sure do.
Can you say that again?
Check and check.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. So what is the turnaround time for somebody? What is the turnaround time for an MSP that signs up with you guys to be effective?
Oh, that's an awesome question, and I'm glad you asked that. So
you're welcome. It wasn't even any of your questions you gave me. I made up myself. I'm like really into this right now. I'm curious.
So you can see ROI with especially with our dark web ID tools, the dark web monitoring. You can see ROI in as little as 30 days, but on average it's about 90 days, right? And we know this because we have put together a 30, 60, 90-day success plan. It's literally a blueprint of how to start generating ROI within the first 3 months. It's literally, it's here is your step-by-step instructions on how to start making money with this as soon as possible.
That's awesome. I appreciate the velocity in that. What does an MSP need to have prepared prior to doing this with you guys?
Well,
aside from being an MSP and customers, but I mean, really, like, is there anything they need to have?
In some cases, they don't even need to have customers. And let me tell you why. So I have signed up MSP partners that do not have customers yet. They're brand new. So here is one of the greatest parts of the ID Agent platform is within the ID Agent platform, we have our live data search, and it is a prospecting tool. It is used as a prospecting tool. It's an on-the-spot dark web scan. All you need to do is plug a domain name into the search bar, and it's going to return to you a compromised report. So how do you do that if you don't have any, if you don't have any customers, right? Well, you do that in your prospecting. You take like your BHAG list, right? So anybody who's ever been in sales, you know what a BHAG, the accounts that you're trying to get into, and you plug the domain name in, you pull up a compromised report, and so now you have something that is, got meat in it, right? When you are reaching out to those prospects, and we provide you with a script, because there's definitely certain messaging that you want to use and certain messaging and tactics that you want to stay away from, because this is scary. I mean, and that's sort of the emotional reaction that people have, right? Is, oh my God, this is my password, this is my email, this is my password, and this is other PII about me, and it's scary. So we train you on that, but it's the easiest way to get your foot in the door, peel back the layers of the onion, start identifying opportunities for improvement, security improvement, because there's going to be, and other opportunities for the rest of your MSP services. So they don't even have to have customers to be successful with this. Not initially. They will. They'll get customers quick.
So what you're saying is there's no set size of MSP that should work with you guys. It's whether it's a 1-man shop, a 1,000-man shop is irrelevant to you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. And then obviously here's Matt Solomon.
Oh, is Matt chiming in?
Oh yeah, he's in there right now. He's saying, of course Matt is. Hi Matt, good seeing you with your good hair. Actually, Matt has like the nicest looking beard. If you haven't noticed, all the coloring is in the right spots. I thought he did just for men. He said, no, it's natural. Looks really good. I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, yeah, he had mentioned how live data search is the best sales tool I've had access to in my entire career. He got in the meetings with 50 plus Fortune 500 companies with the tool. So
yeah. I mean, and
pretty impressive. I think that's a big note. All right, that's a big talk point there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and
yeah,
you're
you don't have to take
our word for us. You don't have to take our word for it. We've got, partner stories, success story after success story after success story after success story, and different examples of people who have used it successfully. So that's for another show, but.
It is a show. It is absolutely a show. I mean, let's put it this way: we're 33 minutes into this webinar, and we're on slide 3. We're on slide 3. We're rocking it. Like we're on track. You have like 20 slides, so that's about 10 minutes per slide. We'll be done by tomorrow.
So I want to mention really quickly, and you don't have to be an ID agent partner. You don't have to be a customer to take advantage of this. So we have what's called the Weekend Breach. And when you go to the ID Agent website and go to the blog tab, you can sign up for the Weekend Breach. And every week you will get an email that highlights the biggest breaches, the breaches that happened around the globe in different industries for that prior week. And so the 2 reasons you want to do that. One, it's great for having like stories and examples to take to prospects, especially in industries that you may not have had any experience with, manufacturing or whatever, right? You're going to meet with a manufacturing prospect and having stories about, hey, recently there was a manufacturing company and this is what happened to them, this is how they got breached, right? So it's a way to have experience, right? And it keeps you on top of what's going on in the world, and you can share it with your audience, your customers, your prospects. So I encourage everybody to sign up for this. Again, you don't have to be a customer to take advantage of it.
That's awesome. I think one of the key takeaways that we like working with you all is your give back to the community. You guys are constantly doing stuff. You have Wayne Gretzky on. He's not the greatest player ever because Mary Lemieux is, we know that, but he's really, really good. So yeah, that's awesome. And it was free for all the MSPs to attend. My goodness. Yeah.
And we gave away a lot of prizes.
I know, right? We even had one of our MSPs that got to ask the question, one of our partners. I was going to create my own MSP and I was going to register to see if I could win. But Ray knew that Sean Lardo was not a real person, and
Yeah, vetoed.
I changed OIT to IoT, and it didn't work either. So, but next time I plan on winning this one.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, we kind of already started talking about a lot of this, right? What happened in 2020, how it's impacting us right now. It's a hot mess out there. It's only going to get worse. One of the things that we really saw, of course, remote workforce, but also third-party supply chain risk exploded. It's March, April, end of April. I've heard from dozens of MSPs that, have had customers come to them that have paid spoofed invoices. And we're talking not a couple thousand, we're talking like $250,000, right? And just paid what they thought was one of their regular vendors, sending a regular invoice. And, threat actors, again, are always looking for the next way to trick us, trick customers, trick end users. And they're targeting like industries that, historically have never really had to worry about this stuff, right? Like trucking companies, logistic companies, right? Companies that didn't really, need to have much technology. But now that, with the pandemic, everybody's had this, digital transformation, and cyber criminals are just like, oh yeah, it's mealtime.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've seen it. If anybody watches the news, they've seen a lot of the attacks that have occurred. And I know there was an article released recently. I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but very big company, and they don't know how deep that Russia, they claim Russia, of course, got into their system, into their data. Don't know. I'm not going to mention names, but yeah, it's been all over the news. So it is a hot topic, and really going back even years back, starting from even the Target hack, right? That was a big thing. I think people became more aware. There was a time when nobody talked about cybersecurity. It wasn't relevant. Yeah. It was kind of like they thought if they locked the door to their office, they were secure, and cyber was irrelevant. I locked my doors. They can't get my computer. Kind of like that. And now we're well past that.
Yeah. And there's two facets to that, right? One, it opens up additional opportunities for MSPs to provide MSP services, cybersecurity services, to industries that maybe have not been, big money makers in the past, but now are, because it's, the digital transformation. And two, on the flip side, right, every new entity that an MSP customer engages with opens up another, more floodgates for risk. And the MSP now needs to, manage and mitigate that risk. So, you think about a customer and all the spokes of the wheel, which are all their suppliers, right? And so it compounds the risk that an MSP has to manage and mitigate.
Absolutely. And actually, I like this. I like this how you broke down the percentages. One thing that really stands out is the number 2, the remote workforce setup, just because it became such a predominant piece. And we've talked to a lot of companies, a lot of MSPs, a lot of their customers, and you hear it became a very big scatter in last March and April when this all took place and everything went down. And they were the general consensus was that we don't, they're used to supporting their customer at their office, and it became from centralized to completely decentralized and disparate. So I'm assuming you guys have the ability to help them with all this.
Yeah. So, being able to monitor for compromised credentials is first and foremost, right? Having that visibility into the security gaps outside the 4 walls of the network, which is where we're living right now. So visibility into compromises, because that's where the threat cyber attacks start, right? They start from compromised credentials. It was 90% of cyber attacks that result in a breach, the root cause is compromised credentials. So monitoring, having that threat intelligence to go back to customers and use it to build the urgency and really demonstrate the need and value to add additional security services, right? Multi-factor authentication, password manager, and of course, absolutely training your people. So again, those components of the tools that we have, all from really one platform, right? One vendor that gives you a laundry list of cybersecurity offerings that you can provide to your customers from one vendor, right? And I'm not saying this is the end all be all and everything you need to have, but holy crap, it's definitely a really, really good foundation. And it's easy to use, easy to roll out. I mean, like for an MSP to onboard themselves would get set up with these tools, it's probably, I mean, it's no time at all. We're talking like, especially if you only have a few customers for dark web monitoring, you load their domain names into the platform. How long does that take?
That's
30 minutes.
I don't know. If it's my brother and he's trying to work a keyboard, 4 days. Simon, like 30 seconds. Me, I like to take a break.
Right? I mean, it's the point is that it's easy. It's easy. It's quick. Yeah. They can get up and rolling in no time at all.
Yeah, perfect. And actually, so Ray giving you his bribes and teeing off things. God. Anyway, he had a question. He said he would like to hear how you approach a prospect once you found a concern on the dark web. It's a fine line between informing and offending. Do you have any tips?
Yes. And it's also a fine line between also scaring, right? So This was the approach that I used, and I have counseled other MSPs to use, and they have used it successfully. So let's take, for example, it's a cold prospect, right? What I would do, my process is I would run the report on them, find the compromises. I would do a LinkedIn search to see if I could identify the top line players in the company. I was looking for CEOs, CFOs, anybody in finance, anybody in accounts payable, even HR, right? People who touched on a daily basis, customer, employee, financial data. So I would reach out to these people, give them a call, right? So let's just assume that nobody answers my call the first time I call. Leave a voicemail. Hey, this is Amelia Paro. I'm calling from, ABC MSP. We're a local MSP in your area. We offer cybersecurity services, and I just wanted to let you know that we have a service that we can provide. It monitors the dark web for stolen emails and personal information. It's like LifeLock for your business. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about it. Wanted 15 minutes on your calendar. Hoping to get a hold of you. I'll get in touch. I'll give you a call back when I can get in touch with you, right? So, of course, that would be a voicemail. Call them back. If I didn't get a hold of them, I'd be like, hey, Amelia Paro here, calling back, trying to get a hold of you. I last time I called, I talked to you about our cybersecurity service that we offer, dark web monitoring, like LifeLock for your business. And on a human level, just wanted to let you know that your company has got there's been some compromises that have popped up through this tool that we use. I'm going to be in your area Tuesday at 10 a.m. Wanted to stop by, just talk to you about these compromises because, again, I feel on a human level, I wanted to make sure that you guys were okay, share this information with you. And what's the beauty there? If they call me back and say, hey, who are you? What are you doing? Why are you stopping by? Oh, thanks for calling me back. Yeah, definitely go into it, right? They didn't call me back, then guess what? Nobody called to say that I didn't have that appointment on Tuesday at 10 a.m. So I would stop by. I mean, and it worked for me. Sometimes it didn't. I've been thrown out of an office or two, but but that's kind of the approach you want to use, right? So you want to come at it as, hey, this is the service I provide. This is why it's important. Build that urgency, and then then talk to them about, wanted to let you know some information about your company popped up with this tool that we have that monitors the dark web for compromised credentials. Love to stop by and talk to you about it. Love to get on a screen share this with you so that you can be aware of the risk to your business. And then, of course, you would use the compromise report. And now that we're not face to face, right? It would have to be a virtual screen share. But it gives
absolutely.
you.
Well, my takeaway from something you said, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is that you actually just did account-based selling and marketing by doing that. You looked up all the stakeholders, you evaluated, you assessed, and that's who you reached out to, and because you never know who the buyer is going to be or who the major influencer is going to be, who's going to have the strongest pain point. That's how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
And then everybody knows who you are, and they're like, hey, this Amelia, she's really smart. She told me all our stuff is jacked up, and that like my credentials are out there, and somebody just booked a trip to Cabo because of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it sounds. So what you're saying is you would put together a prospecting list. You would go put together who your prospects are, your stakeholders. You would do an assessment. You would call them and let them know that this exists out there. So you're going to educate them first, it sounds like.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because what you don't want to do is come up and be like, hey, I have your email and your password. That would be what not to do, right? Hacker, click.
I'm like, stalker.
Great color.
Stop calling me at night and breathing heavy over the phone. Jeez.
But I mean, there's a process to it. But yeah, it's education. It's awareness, education, and identifying multiple stakeholders.
Would it make sense to also highlight an example that's public for them to know, to understand? Because some people, even though because if you use the wrong verbiage, they may not understand you first.
Right.
Even though they probably shift from everything you said so far. But again, to use an example of like, did you happen to see X and what happened to them?
Which is why subscribing to the Week in Breach is a great idea, because that would be where you could pull a lot of those stories, those examples, those, hey, did you see in the news, or did you read about this? There was a shipping logistics company that got, they had to close their business due to a data breach. And this is how it happened, because the threat actors targeted their internal trucking scheduling ERP. Right. And I can share this story with you here. Let me email it to you.
That's awesome. I might just have to start like getting on there, because I like good stories, and I'll just use it for whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not BS. It's real. These are real things that are happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it makes me sound smart if I use you guys' stuff.
Oh, well.
Then I'll tell my kids, and they'll think I'm really smart. I'll use all your guys' stuff.
Right? That's pure gold right there.
Right? It's like Google. That's how I do Common Core math with my daughter. I look at YouTube and she thinks I know this. I'm a genius.
Boy.
Right?
Yeah, I'm so glad my kid is grown. I would not be able to do the whole Common Core thing. My brain just doesn't work like that. No. I kind of got on a roll there, but this is sort of this is what our live data search is, the prospecting tool, right? That on the spot dark web scan, and it's you can pull up that report that shows credentials and passwords and PII and emails, and so it's you have real threat intelligence that you can use to build the urgency and have
That's
those
awesome.
Conversations.
I like that, but build urgency. Again, going back to Ray's comment about a fine line, there's a difference between building urgency that's going to be a negative conversation as opposed to a positive conversation. It's just, is there anything that you suggest people say when it comes down to it? Like, hey, this is going to affect you tremendously because of X if you don't do this by Y. Is there any way you would position it? Or is that basically it?
Well, so I mean, I think it just depends on what compromised data is shown, right? Say for example, you run a report and it's like CFO, CEO's email and password. That's probably going to be a much different, probably much easier conversation than maybe if there's compromised emails of ex-employees. Now, I will say that ex-employee credentials are present just as much risk as a network password or network credentials, right? We all think that that's the end all be all, and that's the big risk. Well, there's so many different avenues that threat actors can use. So, for example, this is a real story, true story, great example. One of our MSP partners, they went on prospect meet, had the report, showed the prospect, and I love to share this for a couple of reasons. One of which is, and this invariably will happen, right? You'll be showing compromises to a prospect, and they'll go past all the ones like the current employee's credentials, and they'll drill in on that they'll point out the one credential of somebody that hasn't been there in like 2 years, and they'll be like, well, this person's gone, so why should I care about this stuff, right? It doesn't matter, this person's gone. Well, to the MSP's credit, he started asking questions. Well, what was that individual's role? What did they do here when they worked for you? And in this one example, this one situation, he was able to identify that it was an accounts payable person, this former employee, and their credentials were still active on a banking site that had access to $1 million in cash and lines of credit. And, that credential was out on the dark web. So thank God that threat actors didn't get a hold of it, because it was live and still working. And not on top of that, the password was the same password that the current AP person was using. That never happens, right? End users never share passwords or recycle them.
Well, I try to keep my password. I keep my password unique. I just do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I spell out the word 7. That way, nobody ever gets it. It's amazing.
No, and no one will ever get it, because you haven't just shared it publicly live. God and everyone else.
No. Maybe it's maybe I spelled the word 6, not 7. Maybe I'm not telling the full truth. That's scary.
You're smarter than most, because
I'm just thinking, if I heard my money was out there like this, and I would be, you use the word holy crap, that would be my exact comment.
Yes, it's a holy crap moment.
Yeah, if they access my account, they would probably only get about 14 pesos. So we're good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I say, if they got a hold of my credit, they could only help it, because it's, no, I'm kidding. Go up.
They got a hold of mine. They sent me a sympathy card. Sorry for your loss.
Right. But we want, kind of going back to helping our partners prospect with it. So the compromise report, you download the results into this really sleek, sophisticated executive level report that if you look at it, helps you sell it, right? Because even in this report, it says why monitoring for exposed credentials is important, and it gives you, reasons that is not in technical speak, in normal human being speak, right? And gives, reasons that small business owners, small businesses would, care about, and it makes it real for them. So we wanted to give our partners as many tools as possible to make it as easy as possible, so they don't have to recreate the wheel, right? And again, because we know that sometimes selling can be a challenge.
Absolutely. So we have 7 minutes left of this.
Okay.
So you tell me where you want to go with it. It's your show.
Yeah. No, that's all right. We talked a lot about, this stuff. I threw in some stories, some examples. Different ways that our partners have been successful with it, different strategies. This is one I want to share because it's using the Bullfish ID, which is the strategy around the phishing simulation security awareness training tool. I thought this was fantastic. So had a break-fix customer, had this break-fix customer for like 10 years, could not get them to convert to managed services, right? So we offered to run a free phishing free phishing campaign on this break-fix customer's employees. And the results, as you can see, were pretty significant. A 92% click rate, right? So almost everybody in that business fell for a fake phishing email. But above that, over half the employees actually submitted credentials. And with the phishing simulator, it gives end users the ability to submit credentials. It doesn't save them, it doesn't capture them, but it's emulating that real world threat environment, right? So, real world testing. And so using that as kind of a catalyst to say, hey, you guys are in big trouble, right? This is a fake phishing email. Over half your employees gave away the keys to the kingdom. Had this been the real thing, you guys would be done, right? Toast, forget about it. So sign them up for a 3-year managed services contract over $250,000 over the life of the contract, just using that one kind of strategy. And I thought that was brilliant, right? From a break-fix customer that he hadn't been able to convert in, over 10 years. But so there's lots of different ways that you can use it, and to again, sell other things, other security services, other MSP services. And we help you sell it just by the sheer power of all of the sales and marketing support, content, collateral, training, guiding, coaching. It's
that's it. I mean, do you really do anything for the partners? It doesn't seem like you really do much.
The only thing we haven't done is put a check on a silver platter, but pretty darn near.
I would like one of those really big checks,
like the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Oh my God, I used to love one. I always thought I could win that. That doesn't happen. But yes,
so old now.
I know, right? We are. Simon doesn't even know what that is.
Yeah,
it's no. Publisher who? They cleared the house. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like,
oh, that's so cute. Anyway, so one last thing that I will leave with, because again, I get a little. I can talk about this stuff all day long. Clearly. When everybody switched to virtual, one of the things that we did as well, we pivoted to virtual and supporting our partners, because pre-COVID we would like literally stand next to partners at events and help them sell it at like golf events and MSP trade shows, blah blah. Couldn't do that. Pandemic hit, so we switched to being available as a subject matter expert for partners, right? So, our Goal Assist team, the Powered Services Pro team, they're averaging like 50 webinars a week with our MSP partners doing just that, being the subject matter expert. They'll present the material as an extension of the partner, the MSP's team, build the urgency and turn over, the opportunities to the MSP to close.
Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for that. I feel educated. I'm going to go start selling dark web stuff. Ray.
Yeah. There's no overhead. So you can just do it from the beach in Cabo or wherever you came back from.
God. Yes. Riviera Maya, where El Ambassador came back into the country to grace everybody with his presence. But that's a whole other story. That's a whole nother story. So, all right. So thank you for that, though. Seriously, I hope the MSPs paid attention, like really paid attention, because like you gave some really good vital pieces. I like, one thing would be, Ray already said, let's do it. So yes, Ray, we're doing it. We're creating El Ambassadoro MSP for the dark web. Anyway, no, I think you guys, I love the amount of resources you provide. I think any MSP would be crazy not to take advantage, at least of some of it, or at least get engaged in the free stuff you do, and again, if it helps them with their business, great. Or what, it's just, I don't know. I find that most of the men and women I see that are on these groups are always looking for more information anyway. They're constantly educating themselves. So I think it's like a good place to go, and which is impressive. I applaud you guys. I have to share our next coming events, which I see Simon is doing his best in the background to enlarge the print for my blind ass self. Let's see how well he did. Oh, that's not too bad. I can say. Are you seeing her face? That's amazing. So, OIT upcoming events. Obviously, today we were talking about fueling profit with cybersecurity with ID Agent. Next week on Ray's birthday. Remember Ray's birthday, so he takes bribes also, Amelia. On May the 4th.
Birthday to Ray.
Yes. We're going to do the Rogue WAN, a data breach story. So perfect in conversation about this.
May the 4th be with you.
Yes. We will probably have drinks. Make sure you guys do attend that. It's on the 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. Spoiler, I'm the hero. I am the main person. Everybody wants to know. I save everybody. So just make sure you guys, if you haven't registered, get in. It's all over our social. Plenty of opportunity to register for that. By all means, please do so. On the 6th, Tech Bar with MSP Unleashed. We're bringing them on 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Ali and Michael and Sean, they will be attending this. They will be our guests. If you guys don't know who MSP Unleashed is, they are a group on Facebook for MSPs to collaborate on. We then have on the 13th, Partner First webinar. The Blueprint to Sales Enablement Excellence with Roderick Jefferson, good friend of mine. The guy is an Amazon best book seller on enabling on sales. kind of a big deal, especially for you guys that are trying to figure out what the hell you're doing to sell, just like we talked about already. You guys should attend it. He has worked for major companies, and he did his own business for a while where he focused on just enabling sales reps within any organization, any industry. And then on the 27th, 2 p.m. Eastern, technical deficit with Luke Whitelock of IQ and IT Ltd. So that's with Ray. So it's not quite as cool. I'm way cooler. Ray's all right though. He does a pretty good job sometimes. He does sound like Barry White though. I will give him that, which is nice. But make sure you guys attend that stuff. Thank you, Amelia, for being part of this. It was actually kind of fun.
Thanks for having me. It's always a blast.
You know, and you're actually on like a mini vacation type thing, working type thing, New York. So, you know, visiting family, friends and whatnot. And I mean, you still spend time with us. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm on vacation and I still wanted to hang with you guys.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I mean, I'm pretty cool with that. But thank you, OIT family community, for being part of this. Looking forward to the next upcoming events. Looking forward to seeing you all, hopefully in person soon. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Bye.